So yesterday we talked about 8 mistakes to avoid for the new missions, but guys, we have data mined information for all the missions now, and there are a couple of other things that we need to cover because this is going to affect your gameplay for the next 6 months plus before you can even get to Ramantu Drakesblood. So before we get started with today's video, a quick reminder that I will be streaming tonight on Twitch at 7:30 Eastern time. We will most likely be doing some summons because I don't know about you guys, but I would just about kill in-game champions or enemies, right, to get a Duchess. I think she's absolutely amazing. I'm regretting even more using 15 sacred shards to pull 2 dupe champions last week. I could have saved up even more to probably increase my odds of getting a Duchess today, but we're still going to do a couple, so make sure you tune in for the fun and that gem giveaway. Data mined information on the missions is not the only thing we have. We have information on the level 25 dungeons, so huge shout out to, I believe this came from scratch. I'm not quite sure where this really comes from, but this information is apparently the new drop rates for those dungeons in case you guys do not know about them. So we're going to look at level 20 all the way down to level 25, and basically what this tells us, for example, for the rank 6 gear, it went from 27% to 32%, a 5% increase chance to get that type of gear. Rank 5 got reduced or gets reduced a little bit as you progress to level 25. The rare pieces went from 67.5% down to 55%, so roughly 12%. Epic, went from 25 up to 32%, so that's about a 7% increase, and legendary went from 7.5 to 13%, roughly 6% give or take. Odds increased for you to get a legendary item. So guys, this was never about guaranteeing to get legendary 6-star gear, right? So I don't think that is the intention of these new level 25 dungeons. With the added energy cost, I don't think it's really worth it if you can't speed farm them, but then again, you will most likely have to do them for all the missions, as we'll see a little bit later. Here's the Fire Knight. That was the Ice Golem. Same thing here. The numbers are all pretty much the same. We have the Spider here as well. Same thing. We also have the drop rates of the level 20 potion keeps, which sadly still have mystery shards, and they also have the occasional ancient shard. They have the bruise still. Then the greater potions here got, I believe, changed a little bit, right? You still have a chance at getting 2 all the way to 6. You just don't have the smaller ones, basically, but you also have an increased chance of getting the superior potions, and more importantly, you can now get up to 4 in one drop instead of just 3. So here is what the data mined information about the missions really tell us. You will most likely have to complete absolutely everything in this game for you to get Ramantu Drakesblood, all right? So starting with the campaign, for example, we already have a couple missions revolving around basically beating the stages with 3 stars, right? The boss stages, we started with the earlier chapters in the first couple of missions, but eventually it is going to basically go up to all the other chapters. So you have to assume that eventually you will have to do this, all right? So if you're not there yet, don't stress too much about it. It is going to take some time. Then we have the dungeons, of course, where you will have to complete literally all level 20 keeps on auto at least 10 times, and level 25 dungeons at least 10 times on auto. I don't know if the Spider's mission will be seen a little bit earlier, but it certainly does come back later on, so you might have to do this a couple of times, which should be pretty easy by then anyway. So eventually you will have some teams for this. Don't stress too much about this. It's not the worst part. Completing faction wars, for example, is something that is going to be a lot harder for most players. So again, if you haven't completed this already, start trying to think about getting around to doing all of this, right? Number one, you have a great prize, which is Lydia, but also knowing now that Ramantu Drakesblood is locked behind everything up to the faction wars and getting Lydia. So for example, later on, you will have to clear stage 21 of the Barbarian's Crypt. It doesn't seem to say 3 stars. Maybe we do have that at some point, but you certainly have to take care of the entire faction crypt. Then we have the arena. I have yet to see anything regarding classic arena, but correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I've seen any missions so far that has to do with like reaching platinum, for example, in classic arena. All right, so if you're able to, let's say, complete the original missions, which is I think to reach up to gold 1. Again, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it shouldn't be too hard for this aspect, assuming you've done all the previous ones. Where it gets interesting is for the tag arena. As you can imagine, there is a lot of missions around there, specifically reaching a gold 1 in tag arena. So that is certainly going to be not as easy for everybody. So again, start working on those teams. And you also have to exchange 50,000 gold bars at the bazaar. So you might want to sit on a couple thousand so that you're ready for that mission, so that you don't stall here, right? So start preparing for that as well. There is also a lot of missions revolving around the forge, which I'll do quickly before we get to the Doom Tower. So basically more crafting, but also getting rank 6 gear, also using a lot of charms. So you might want to hoard your charms or your crafting and do that during a clan versus clan tournament. Hopefully you have those missions up at that time, but certainly try to hang on to a good amount of material so that when you do get to that mission, for example, you're ready to go, because this is going to take a whole lot of attempts before you can hit it. For example, crafting 10 rank 6 artifacts at the forge, or for example, crafting 25 shields at the forge using shield charms. All right, so everything revolving around the materials and the charms. And along to the crafting, we also have the missions revolving around the glyphs. So if you thought the ones to get like 5 maxed out rolls was hard, check this out. You will also have to get 30 max substats upgrades using rank 5 or higher glyphs. So again, do not use your rank 6 and your rank 5s for the time being, because you also have basically the missions to use 80 glyphs to upgrade artifacts and accessory substats. These do not require you to use the higher ones, all right? So you want to try and get max rolls with the big ones, and then you don't care about the small ones, just burn them for specifically those missions. Then we have the Doom Tower, guys. This is the ultimate roadblock to getting to Ramantu Drakesblood. You could almost say he's at the very end of the Doom Tower, but not after the last boss. Literally after everything there is to do in here. So number 1, you will have to complete the entire normal Doom Tower all the way up to 120. You will also have to do that on the hard Doom Tower. That's basically the last mission. Before you get to that though, you need to clear all 12 secret rooms of the Doom Tower on hard. I would assume this is in one rotation, or do you maybe need to do them between a couple different rotations? We shall see. You also need to clear 12 secret rooms total in the tower in one tower rotation. It could maybe be normal and hard mixed, but that's still not the hardest part here. Is that if you go back, okay, so before you do all of that, you already need to have pulled Gomluk Skyhide. Summon Gomluk Skyhide from the fragments. He's basically the 3rd legendary in the list of champions to get from the hard Doom Tower. So that is a minimum of 6 months of work if you can do it perfectly every month. So even the end game players will have to first complete everything 6 months straight. And if you've already skipped secret rooms like I did in the previous rotation because they're kind of dumb, well, then you add even more months to this rotation. And I guess if I understand correctly, you would have to do it all again at least 1 more month after all of that to get to basically the last mission and get Ramantu Drakesblood. Finally, here's a couple more things you guys want to consider as you are preparing to complete these missions. Number 1, you will have to craft a set of each of the new sets from the Doom Tower bosses, right? So basically you will have to come up with a Guardian set and a Bloodthirst set. This is towards the end, but maybe take that into consideration. You also need to do the other ones basically. So at least get one working set. It doesn't say if it needs to be like 5-star or 6-star legendary gear, right? It just says to have some kind of set. I guess should be relatively doable. You also need to unlock a tier 6 mastery for 20 champions. Should be relatively easy to do if you've completed faction wars anyway. It took me like 60 champions to do faction wars, so I would assume that at least a third of those will have maxed out masteries. You also need to do a whole lot of like upgrades in the Great Hall. I don't currently see it, but basically I think you need at least 10 maxed out stats in the Great Hall, if I'm not mistaken. It could be more, but also take that into consideration. Sorry. And then one more thing here is that you need to summon 3 champions from fragments, and I think this is a little bit revealing here, is that if we look at the amount of fragment summons we've had before, or that we expect to have, they should be alternating between the classic fusions, which is now apparently a mix of fragments and classic fusion, this has a timer on it. You have to do it right away. You cannot hoard those. The ones you want to hoard are the ones that are in here. So like rule that we're about to get, I would assume we're going to get one every second month, and you cannot hoard the ones from the Doom Tower. Therefore, it means that you need to probably wait another maybe 6 months before you accumulate 3 fragment summons. All right, so guys, start hoarding those as well. I think I'm literally just going to hang on to rule until I'm confident I have at least 3 saved up for specifically that mission. I know it's a long time away, but what I am saying is, again, just be careful with that. So there you have it, guys, a breakdown of the missions, roughly how long before we can get to Ramantu Drakesblood. It is going to take a very, very long time. Hopefully you guys are still excited to work towards this. It's now the new ultimate prize in the game. It kind of makes sense that he's locked behind absolutely everything. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.